What's going on, everybody? I'm Tom.
I'm Pat.
And I'm Zach.
We're best friends, and you're listening to the Reminiscent Podcast. They say you can't choose your family. Well, you also can't choose which era of music you grew up in. This is a weekly show where we discuss our favorite bands from adolescence and how they continue to shape our lives today. Each week, we'll head back to the early 2000s and take a closer look at the cards we were dealt.
So, Tom, last time we did a Desert Island record album release party, not release party, podcast episode, you feel like you have I guess what I'm trying to say is you feel like you have a better understanding of the rules now.
Well, we kind of changed the rules, and also I was caught off guard last time. I made some spur-of-the-moment decisions, which were not the right ones, but
Moose Blood made it on there, and I was a little surprised even. I was like, I shouldn't have played. He's too young. He's too young.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, I did just buy Blush on vinyl last week, or 2 weeks ago, so it's...
Look at you,
it's
baby.
It's still a banger.
Yeah.
But anyway.
It is. Well, the point of the game is like, is it the 5 best records? Is it 5 records that span genres so that if you're stuck on Castaway Island with only a record needle, et cetera, you're going to be able to entertain yourself? Last time, it was a shit show, so we're going to try again, right? But this time, we're making it a little more specific on ourselves.
Right, because last time, it was just 5 of all time. And this time, we are doing, something different. Tell him, Pat.
Right. Well, okay, so last time we played 5 favorite, and we put our favorite records on, or what we thought were, but we weren't playing the game correctly in the sense that we want 5 records that span genres that would be able to entertain us for the rest of our lives, right? Unless your 5 favorite records could entertain you, which is maybe a discussion for a different day. Anyway, go back and listen to it if you want, see how well or how poorly we did. This time we're going to go more of a Lord of the Flies aspect, where if we were actually the age of the children that were on the island when they were stranded, we're doing a junior high version of the junior high / early high school / high school version of the Desert Island episode. What would have been in our actual backpacks when the bus crashed / I only perused the cliff notes of that book, so I'm not even sure if I'm on the right track. I know I read the last several pages and ruined it for several people by telling them Piggy died, and high school was... I was wrong about a lot of stuff. That was a very mean thing to do. That was not cool or funny. Sorry to Jocelyn. My apologies. She was very upset, and it's one of those memories that keeps me up. Sorry, Jossie. My bad.
Sucks to your ass, Mar, dude.
Yeah, apologies to Piggy, too. He deserves to be discovered. And if you haven't gotten to it, I don't think there's spoilers on books that have been out for that many decades, but who's to say? Anyway, so we're doing the Junior High Desert Island edition. Should we club horn it a little bit before we lay down a few more ground rules, or?
Give it to me again, one more time.
Okay, here we are. Welcome to the Desert Island album Junior High edition.
Beautiful. So what is the latest year that you have on your list?
Desert Island Junior High edition. How
late are you going on this thing?
To the desert island.
What? Sorry, that one got it. I'm gonna say that I took my best guess. I think I've referenced on the show, my sister gave me a binder full of burned CDs that her friends kind of gave her. It was a very thoughtful gift. I'm gonna go post that binder, but I don't think my sister, like there was Jet and White Stripes and stuff. I don't think that made my list, but I think I'm gonna base it off of that, what my mind associates that era with. And we can check the dates later maybe, but I'm going to say 7th or 8th grade.
Okay, because I was debating whether or not 2005 should make it in, which would have been my sophomore year of high school.
In prep for the episode, I Googled from 2000 to 2004. So if you want to include 05, that's fine. And I don't even know if my entries count. I'm just going to go with what you feel, what might have been in your backpack. We're telling stories. This one's a little looser. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Reminiscent. I'm Tom. He's Pat. Switch that. Just, this one's going to be a little more loosey-goosey, even though last week's was a bit of a mess anyhow. So
last week's was awesome.
Yeah, just kidding. So you want to go first, or do we roll a dice, or... this isn't necessarily competition. It's just like one of us is going to stab the other over a conch shell, so we might as well listen to good music while it happens, right?
And it's going to be about take off your pants and jacket as well. I can feel that.
Ooh, okay. Well, What's weird is we talk about Blink so much. We do these. It's like, I don't want to talk about Blink again because we do a show about it, but one of those records is going to make it on. I wouldn't. You might as well just go first and pick Enema because I am not going to do that to you this early into the process.
Well, okay. Do you mind if I also have like 15 honorable mentions?
Yeah, I have many. I think the honorable mentions, like always, are going to be way more interesting than the actual ones. But
yeah. So, of course.
Do you want to go first and take Enema?
I'll just go first because Enema of the State will be the greatest record ever made until the day that I die.
Right. If you listen to the show, you know how the first few, like, yes, sorry. But yes, if you're just joining us, Tom and I are fans of Blink-182, and Tom is selecting with the first pick of our Junior High Desert album.
And this would have been, I really listened to them a lot in like summer between 7th and 8th grade is kind of when I discovered them. Listened to them all through 8th grade, all through 9th, and obviously like Self-Titled was coming out. But Enema of the State was like, I mean, it's been present in my life since the day I discovered it, since I saw those boobs on my sister's friend's CD case and had to know what music would garner such an album cover. And yeah, so I'm trying to put myself in like, 7th to 9th grade. This was firmly 8th grade.
I'll say this.
Present.
That record only plays maybe 32 and a half, 33 and a half minutes in total length. You got a lot of time to waste on that desert island, my boy. I mean, you're going to run through that thing a ton of times. Do you really want that type of punk record?
I will listen to All the Small Things for weeks on end with
Fair
no
enough.
breaks.
I know you will, but I'm just from a logistics standpoint. We're talking about desert island stuff. We're there. We're eating fish. Hopefully, if we can catch them, And I'm just thinking, you're gonna have to burn through it a lot. Hopefully, you don't cut ridges into it with the needle, because apparently the vinyl were in our backpacks in 2004 or whatever.
I have it on vinyl in original pressing.
Actually, you know what? Me too. The newspaper staff in college, actually for one of my birthdays, somebody made me like a Bruce Springsteen cake with like the type of frosting that you can make art with. And it was his butt on Born in the USA. And they gave me a vinyl version of Enema. And
Nice.
It was actually kind of one of the sweetest things anyone's ever done for me. It was awesome. But it's weird to listen to vinyl because it's like, this doesn't feel like, this is two different eras clashing. But it was a nice gesture for sure. It was actually the first sky blue record I've ever seen. It was kind of funky. It was cool. Anyway, I am going to pick now.
Go for it.
If it's all right with you, if the gods of the island will allow it. Should we get some like thunder and lightning going? Like, Ooh, I am gonna have a nightmare tonight. I'm easily scared, and you got me. I'm not joking. That's gonna haunt me for days for sure. In the spirit of being haunted internally, I'm gonna say "Give Up" by the Postal Service.
Whoa.
I want to take it off the board.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah.
Ooh.
Take you some of that.
Ooh.
Stick it in your pipe and smoke it. That's an early 2000s Austin Powers reference, something I probably would have been saying around that time. Yeah, I mean, the saddest record ever, right? Like the ultimate early 2000s sad boy record. God, to have spun that thing into the ground on many a bus ride to baseball games and things like that. Would you have picked this had it not been on the board? I've never picked a first round pick that you have ever needed or wanted or said, like has never been sought after. I think this, if I had to guess, it'd be my first one that you might have also wanted.
I don't know if I would have picked it, only because I discovered that album in 8th grade because of James McCallion, who we talked about last week. And
him and Hannah, I think, are our two off discussed musical influences.
And I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I thought it was the whiniest, bitchiest little whatever. And I remember when I was still going to church, when I believed in God, the youth pastor was like, "Oh, have you heard this album?" I was like, "Oh, dude, I hate it. It's just like, it's so lame." And he was like, "If you do me one favor in the world, it is to revisit that album with a fresh mindset and tell me what you think." And maybe 3 years had passed since then. I listened to it and it blew my fucking mind.
Dude, you know what? I'm thinking about it. It was fucking Billy McCallion, James's older brother, he said, I'm going to play, we were riding home from a soccer practice, and he said, I'm going to play you a song that is going to, it's in him saying so like factually that it was good. I forget which track off the album it was, but I was like, oh, just like, I did not have an older brother. My sister did. Like that binder she gave me was awesome, but she was just kind of throwing stuff at a wall to see what would stick. Like that was just like, yeah, this will do. This will do just fine. So you find the dude burning CDs, that the hustler of that semester, give him the 50 cents, 2 quarters,
right?
If they had the software on the computer or whatever. But yeah, that's my number one pick because I'd probably arrow-wise would be the most true to the junior high Pat on the desert island.
Cool.
Yeah. Do I get another pick? Are we going snake with it?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm going to double down. No, I'm not doubling down. Just kidding. Different direction entirely. In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth by Coheed and Cambria.
Whoa.
Yes.
Volume 5, part 16C, Amendment B,
yeah,
right?
I've never said the correct name of the album. I'm not, it shows you how big of a fan I am. So I go real sad, synthy weirdness from the Death Cab for Cutie Boy. And then we're coming up and we're going to, this is probably what we're going to listen to while we're breaking coconuts open or trying to get the fire going or something like that. Probably like, we're just rocking out. The equivalent of being in your garage working on your car. Something that I wouldn't do, but I would on an island, maybe, if we needed one motor to work, and I would break it. I don't know. Maybe there's a book on the island that teaches you how. We could read it and try to figure it out. I'm digging myself into a hole here. Maybe we'd have to dig ourselves into a hole to kill ourselves after starving to death on the island itself. But
ooh, look out.
We could have done that, all of that death in a relaxation session, but I just summed it up for you real quick. So we can skip right past that. But no, I think Blood Red Summer was on like a mix somebody gave to me to put in my CD player on the way to Cedar Point, like on a church trip. Cedar Point's like a world-class amusement park in Ohio. And Blood Red Summer, I was like, what the f***? And then when I went to the actual album, and it starts off with the 8-minute like power, I don't even know what you would call it, but wow. Yeah, it blew me out. I was like, I did not expect this. It's like you have to, they're all 10-minute songs, and they should all cut the 2 minutes off of the last parts of all of those 10-minute songs and make a really good punk record or something, or like a poppier record. But they make you earn it, and I'm glad I took the time to appreciate it. I like that. I like it.
All right.
I saw them actually at Bunbury last year in Cincinnati, and they played the 8-minute album version of In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth, and I was just like in the crowd, like, I don't know. I never put the horns up in my life, but I did. I was like, rock on, motherfucker. I don't know. I was so into it. I was so 7th grade into it. No, yeah, it was a good moment for me.
I saw them at Warped Tour in 2007. I think either before, it would have been before Paramore. And they played that song, the do-do-doom, do-do-do-do, and I was just like, dude, this rocks so hard.
It's never really my lane, and people who listen are probably like, wow, that's the hardest they go, fucking dweebs. But for me, it's a big deal, and I like it a lot.
Well, it's very surprising to hear that you enjoy it that much, because I do remember you did an LCC video about a very intense chess competition to a Coheed and Cambria song, and it's like one of my favorite like indie videos ever created in the history of the world.
Yeah, part of me wonders if we would have, because that was like in the early stages of YouTube, if we would have done that for a full calendar year instead of like 2 months in the summer. Anyway, it's all hindsight, but that was early YouTube for sure. But no, Coheed was on the radar, and they rocked, and I liked it. I used to play Toy Story, the video game, on PlayStation 2 and listen to that in like the Garden State soundtrack on repeat on like my sick days. Anyway. Good times.
You got sick days? Damn.
Or I don't know, just summer. I don't know. For whatever reason, I was in a room playing that video game, listening to this. And what a weird, think about young me going from In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth over to seamlessly to the Garden State soundtrack. Just the Shins and Claudio just wooing my weird, twisted brain into numbness, I guess you could say. Anyway, you're up. You got 2 coming.
Yeah, I do.
Also, real quick, there's some chanting in OOs. So if we're going to do some like fire dancing stuff, I feel like we'd be prepared for like like to get kind of intense and weird with it, but in like like if we had to get spiritual with it, to pray for rain or something.
Or definitely gonna be a sacrifice at some point. So
oh, nice.
We got it covered.
Like it. Anyway, I got us covered on that front.
Okay. Okay, so my number 2 is an album that I revisit often. I bought on vinyl at the same time I did Enema of the State from a friend of mine, Thomas Nassif. They were both original pressings. I was very stoked about it. And every time I listen to this album, I think, damn, this is just a classic. Like, it's so good. Very into it. Freshman year or so. And one of my memories of it, I was helping my brother Troy move into his new place by my dad's house. And I was listening to the album, and he looks over at me. He's like, "What are you doing listening to this album? Like, you're too young for that." It is Dookie by Green Day. Just one of the greatest albums ever. Am I just going to say that about every album I talk about on this show? I think so. It is just front to back incredible. Like, there's no weak
What's
links.
the hit off that one?
Well, Longview was the big one. Basket Case. I think there was another one. Just great. I mean, it starts off so strong. Just
who introduced you to that one? Because we came up with American Idiot, kind of, right? I mean, that was more our era. So who gave you the courtesy of teaching you that one? Because I'm jealous. Mostly because I don't know shit about early Green Day other than Basket Case and Around, or When I Come Around, are good songs, I guess.
Which is also on Dookie.
Oh, really? Is Macy's Day Parade on Dookie?
No, that's on one of my favorite albums of theirs, Warning.
Oh, okay.
Right.
That's probably my favorite Green Day song. Or What's Her Name? Anyway, we should do a Green Day episode.
Oh, What's Her Name? Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah, right? Oh my God. Why would they do that to us?
Yeah, American Idiot came out when we were in 8th grade. I remember listening a lot during art class because our teacher, Miss Coral, let us put on headphones as we worked. But every single day she would listen to everyone's music to make sure it was appropriate, which American Idiot, they had their moments. But I don't remember who specifically told me about their earlier work, but at some point I did dive into it. And I kind of got all of their albums somehow. I cannot for the life of me remember. But I remember really falling in love with Dookie, and I just said the name of it a minute ago.
Chocolate Starfish in the hot dog flavored water.
Oh, I really fell in love with Dookie, and I really fell in love with Warning around that same time. I don't remember how, but I think Dookie is just also a masterpiece, front to back.
Nothing wrong with it. You got another pick coming, my boy.
Oh, shit.
I know. And if you say Chocolate Starfish in the hot dog flavored water, I am going to be so low-key pissed at you. It's a fucking... sorry, we got to stop cursing so much on the show, but it is a Fred Durst song, album, or whatever the band... Limp Bizkit. It's a Biscuit. It's in the Biscuit universe, extended universe, cinematic universe.
Okay, so this is really hard because I'm trying to limit myself to 8th grade, 9th grade. And
I said junior high, and you immediately stretched the rules, and now you're trapped in your own. You're on your own. Pick something, because
I was trying to push my way up to 2005, but now
it's low tide, Tom. It's low tide.
I'm gonna go with Meteora.
We talked about that last week.
We did, and I said it probably wouldn't make the list, but I thought about it. And 8th grade me, 7th grade me needed this album to survive.
So if you go to your dark place on the island, you need this.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's going to give you something that Hybrid Theory it doesn't give you.
I think so.
Ooh.
Don't do this. I already
No, you son of a bitch.
What if I burned a CD with both of them on it, like an MP3 CD? Can I get away with it?
Listen, have you ever seen Lost? You don't test the island, Tom. You don't do that to the island, okay? You think the fish are going to come back if you can try to trick? Listen, the island knows best.
I think Hybrid Theory is a summer album and Meteora is a winter album.
Okay. Good thing we're going to be in tropical paradise hell listening to the winter album. No, if you need it during the dark days, that's fine with me. So that's your number 3?
Yeah.
All right. Should we slow down and go one and one? Because we're zipping through this a little faster than I thought.
That's fine. We got a lot of honorable mentions.
Oh, true. Okay, I'm just going to pick 2.
Okay.
I already used my hot dog flavored water joke, so I was going to say that as my pick, but I already brought it up because I didn't want to forget it. But, haha, just kidding. I'm not going to pick that. Hot Fuss by the Killers. That was... yeah.
Oh, man. That is like 8th grade in a nutshell. I was not familiar with the whole album, though, so I don't know if I can pick it. But
well, it kind of came out of nowhere, or I think it was a James McCallion burner for me, maybe. But no, you know what? It was in the binder for my sister, but Jenny was a friend of mine. I think it was the first album I kind of latched onto from that binder. Jenny was a friend of mine, comes out of the gate, and yeah, I mean, how could you not listen to Smile Like You Mean It and I Have a Boyfriend Who Is a Girlfriend? I forget the name of that song, but then you get to track 5 and
Somebody
you're like, I got soul, but I'm like, oh,
yeah.
It was just we never talk about the Strokes or the Killers or the White Stripes or anything on this show when we totally should. And the Killers are fucking good. And it was it was not such a bad decade to grow up in when you kind of talk about those bands and what they were doing. And that was Hot Fuss is a fucking good record. And if we're going to listen to Meteora during the rough times, I want to listen to track 5 on Hot Fuss during the good times and just pretend like we're watching an inspirational commercial about the Olympics or something. Just, I don't know.
Yeah, I first heard somebody told me in 8th grade. I forget the dude's name.
Somebody told me, that's it.
It was Chris. We were in the locker room at gym class, and he was singing the song, and he was talking about, he's like, Steve's got a boyfriend that looks like a girlfriend. He's pointing to people in our class, and he pointed at me and he said, Tom's got potential. And I didn't know what he was talking about, and I thought he was genuinely giving me a compliment.
Oh.
And then I was like, what is that? And he was like, somebody told me. And that is one of those songs that I downloaded on LimeWire, and I listened to a demo version of it for like 8 years before
Yeah.
I knew it, before I figured out it wasn't the album for shit.
That happened to me with recently. Most recently, I got hit with a demo version with The Wire by Haim. And I actually like the demo version better, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, actually, favorite song off that album, I think, is going to have to be For Better or Worse, Smile Like You Mean It, because I don't know. Nah, that might be wrong. No, it might be right. I don't know. If we ever do the episode about like songs that take you to that fucking place, that'd be on that list for me for sure. Is Smile Like You Mean It for sure. For sure. So anyway, that's one of my picks. And then I'm going to mix it up just a touch. Here we are. And now we're over here. But then we're over there.
Is this your last pick?
No, it's number 4. Is it? No, it's number 4.
No, okay. Whew.
I'm going to go with I Am the Movie by Motion City Soundtrack. The band that has been so criminally under-referenced on this show, just from my standpoint. I even whiffed on The Future Freaks Me Out during one of our drafts, which is going to haunt me forever. Add it to the list of things that bugs me and stays in my brain. But I Am the Movie is just so... Motion City is in my top 5 bands. The Killers are also in my top 5 bands, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, let's, we talked a little bit about Smile Like You Mean It and Give Up by the Postal Service and everything, but no, let's do, this is a good Saturday morning. We're cleaning the house a little bit. We're rocking a little bit. We're pumping it up. We're getting moving it. Let's get moving, shaking. We're just rocking. No moods like that anyway, so The Future Freaks Me Out. When I first heard the lyrics to that song, it blew my mind. So I love Motion City dearly. And I Facebook messaged the lead singer actually a few months ago, and he responded back. He's like, sorry, man, I just kind of tend to stretch myself too thin. I went back when we were having guests on the show during that stretch where we were both really busy. And I was like, hey, man, self-care is important. Rock on. Love your shit, So that would have been an interesting guest to have on the show. But very nice guy. He actually tweeted back at me once. I said, The Future Freaks Me Out. And he was like, don't worry, man, it'll be all right. I've actually interacted with him online, both directly and indirectly several times. But yeah, I love Motion City a whole lot. And that record would be in my backpack if we were stuck on that album, on that island, counting our albums. So yeah, those are, I'm 4 deep.
Okay.
That puts you in the situation of picking a 4th and a 5th. And I've left Take Off Your Pants and Jacket on the table. I don't know if you're going to double on Blink, or I've also left American Idiot on the table. And I'm curious if you would ever double on Blink or Green Day. Or double up on Linkin Park.
Right. So, yeah.
Or double up on Taking Back Sunday because we haven't even touched those.
Right. So.
Or double up on Brand New because we don't talk about them on the show. But if they were in our backpacks at the time, this would be a situation where they would be referenced. Yeah, that's right. You got some decisions to make.
I'm really struggling because I'm trying to keep it before a certain year, but
you got the conch shell. You have the power.
Because there's so many that remind me of 8th grade, and most of those are going to be honorable mentions, and then the rest are going to be like sophomore and junior year. So if I'm sticking to freshman year, I discovered the song Quiet Things That No One Ever Knows. And listening on my iPod Mini, I remember being in our 9th grade, was it Algebra 1 class with Mr. Gareline, and turning over to Dan Majeski, who's came up last week with the Linkin Park stuff.
Yeah.
And being like, do you know this song? Is all of their stuff like this? Because I really want to explore this band. And he was like, yeah, some of it. So I downloaded like everything. I don't even remember how. This is before torrents. It was probably just LimeWire. But I was pulling full albums. Or maybe Dan burned them because I remember I used to give him $2 to burn me CDs in 7th grade and shit. And I really fell in love with Your Favorite Weapon. And that song just took over in 8th grade. And it was really hard between that and Deja Entendu because I have probably more fond memories of like you guys and Zach jamming in his basement with that album. But Your Favorite Weapon, yeah, I think that's got to take it. And then my last one, God, yeah. It's hard, but if I'm being true to the game, which as you know about me, I am one to be true to the game, I'm going to have to pick Take Off Your Pants and Jacket and double down on Blink-182 because it was, these 5 albums are like probably all I listened to throughout freshman year of high school, with the exception of A Fever You Can't Sweat Out by Panic at the Disco. Yeah, this is like my 8th grade in a nutshell. 8th grade, 9th grade.
Okay, so I'm glad we're on the island. We have 2 of our favorite Blink albums on there. This is tough for me because part of me wants to put by Relient K, but part of me knows that I wasn't actually listening to it at that time necessarily.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And part of me wants to say 3 Cheers to Sweet Revenge. And I'll touch back on that for a minute. Part of me wants to say American Idiot by Green Day. Because
I wouldn't hate you for bringing that album, man.
I wouldn't hate it either. And part of me wants to bring Weezer's Green album because I look back at the dates and part of me knows I was listening to Weezer for a long time before that binder came into my life. But then I looked at the years of the album releases. It came out in like 02, 03. So
perfect.
It's not even against the rules, but I know I was aware of it before the binder came into my life. So if we're talking about like kind of that junior high rebirth of like, oh, I'm into music now kind of, or at least as much as I can be, given the amount of hours I've had available to me to listen to this stuff. I don't even know this isn't even a game. There's no stress. There's no stakes at all. So we already have Dookie. We have Green Day covered. We have a lot of Blink. We have a lot of punk. Give Up is sad. I in the Movie rocks. Hot Fuss rocks. In Keeping Secrets is like going for it. Longer, Goofy Day, Rocky Rock, and the funky stuff, Rockness. 3 Cheers. American Idiot is so good, though. And I have another one of my, I'm just kind of looking through my honorable mentions, I should make sure I don't make the wrong pick. Being in a bunch of like football and basketball locker rooms at the time, 50 Cent's The Massacre is kind of one of my, like something I actually would have been listening to. I think maybe even The Red Light District by Ludacris, but I don't think I can honestly say I was listening to all those. I think I'm going to come in swooping, go against my instincts to go for 3 Cheers or American Idiot, and say the All-American Rejects self-titled album was honestly probably something I listened to front to back hardcore during that time period, if I'm being truly honest with myself.
Wow.
It should be Weezer Green, but I don't think it is. I just don't think it is. I'm going to say the All-American Rejects self-titled with Swing Swing and all those songs. And I'm going to plea to that album, Be With Me, Please I Beseech You, because we're on this island all alone and things are getting kind of scarce. So, yeah, what a moody collection of 10 records, but I don't mind it. I mean, you want to like look back and be like, I was cooler than that, right? But I'm not. I was not. I am not and was not. But American Idiot was actually very important. I'm surprised that was probably my first honorable mention off the board if I had to really think about things.
Yeah.
I'll probably listen to that more than or as just as much as In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth.
You know,
I mean, that's tough. That's really fucking tough. Because Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge should be on this list as well. It's almost like, to me, the Weezer and Blink don't count because I feel like I knew about them before the kind of the renaissance of in my own brain of when the Binder came and James McCallion and Hannah Beckman came into our lives. So to me, they're like grandfathered into my brain without needing them around. I don't even know what the rules for this particular Desert Island stuff was, but I think we're kind of doing a Phases of Music episode in disguise, just calling it a Desert Island episode. But it's kind of weird looking at all these, like, of course you got to put Blink and Weezer on there, but part of me is like, well, where do these other ones fit in? Because last week we talked about Meteora, and we tried to do a 5 for 5 episode where we kind of were able to cover more ground than we usually do because I don't know. It's, you try to map out, it's like the movie High Fidelity where he's like, I'm not doing it chronologically or alphabetically. I'm doing it autobiographically. And he's like, oh, he's like, yeah, that's right. I can tell you which breakup led to this. I'm putting it in order from when I came into it. And that's kind of what we're doing slowly over time in our own brains and with the audience itself. But yeah, I guess I'm going to go All American Rejects. And I'm going to say this is what actually would have been in my small mini CD changer case in my book bag on the bus.
That's interesting, man. I do have fond memories of that album, and I remember the first time we were at band practice on my old house on 32nd Street, and I very meekly asked Zach if I could play his guitar and sing because I wanted to try to do Swing Swing. I knew the guitar part for it,
right,
and I could, knew the lyrics. And again, this is like the thing where I tried to impress those girls from my story last week playing drums. I remember just massacring this song because I'd never tried to sing and play guitar at the same time, and I wasn't a singer, and I was hardly knew how to play the song. And like,
you invited the same girls over?
No. This is in front of Zach. So this is, 9th grade, and I remember singing the song and like halfway through the chorus, he was just kind of like shaking his head, like, "No, dude." Like,
oh, poor
because
thing.
I mean, the rhythm, like doing specific like rhythms on guitar when you're trying to sing.
Because he goes to falsetto like every other word, like
I know,
you're gonna nail it in front of your best friend the first time you trust, like he's swiftly coming down, like you just like it would have been weirder for you to just crush it, like
right,
like falsettos and everything.
And I just absolutely embarrassed myself, and of course no one else played drums, so I was just playing the guitar by myself, like with a heavy distortion. It was bad, and it's again one of those things I look back on and like, I embarrassed myself in front of my future best friend.
The thing is, I think I even knew when I got this record from former / future current crush's older brother or something. I'm like, man, this is whiny. And then years later, I'd like know every word to every, like even P.S. I Love You, deep on the album. Like back when I didn't name the things on my iPod and I knew that P.S. I Love You was like track 8 or track 9 or something on that, like you could pull it up on your own playlist because you kind of knew where the shit was on your iPod. But yeah, man, I was like, man, this is so like whiny, whatever. I'm like, I could give up the next Christmas in that binder, and I'm like deep into that world already.
Whose brother would that have been?
I think it would have been Steve Pisano. Would have just
right. Okay,
yeah, just like been like, dude, you got to listen to this. I'm like, do I? Because I don't know, for better or worse, I had never gotten music from him, so I was like kind of leery. I'm like, I already have some musical like people that are giving me CDs in my life. Have you heard of James and Hannah? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
we don't know Hannah yet, but
yeah, exactly. The timeline's getting all mixed up. Man, when I'm older, things are going to get confusing for people trying to understand where I'm coming from on stuff. But yeah, I'm going to go back to my list. All American Rejects, self-titled. In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth, Coheed and Cambria. Hot Fuss, The Killers, I Am the Movie, Motion City, Give Up, Postal Service. You know what? I'm not even mad. You get the, like, man. That's
good
a good
stuff.
list. I don't even mind junior high me. I know my all-time 5 records are not quite as junior high-y, but now I'm kind of thinking like, this might actually be my favorite record list in disguise, to be quite honest with you, dude.
Yeah, so mine are very 8th, 9th grade, nothing beyond. Of course, out of the gate, Enema of the State by Blink-182.
Yeah.
Dookie by Green Day. Meteora by Linkin Park weaseling its way in there. Deserved, though.
Fresh on the mind, perhaps, but deserved.
Right. Well, I mean, if we're looking at 8th grade, this was the album. So-
Right. You know, I should have had, speaking of last week's episode, I should have had Leaving Through the Window on there, but I didn't. Again, I didn't find out about them until college, so that sucks. But it should have.
Okay.
It would have rocked my world, I'm sure.
And then coming off just 2 weeks ago, talking about, are we allowed to talk about brand new, yada, yada. I'm picking Your Favorite Weapon and Take Off Your Pants and Jacket by Blink-182.
Your Favorite Weapon has Jude Law and Semester Abroad and everything.
Yeah.
It's got good songs. It just does.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, that is a solid solitude there on that desert island. Are we together or are we... Let's be together.
Yeah.
Okay.
We covered some ground. We don't need to fight. What are we going to... warring tribes on this? There's only so many fish to go around. Let's just join together and work hard. Robinson Crusoe style. Or Family Robinson. I forget which one is more warlike or violent or sad. Not very familiar with either, to be honest. Let's create our own history on this island. The island giveth and the island taketh away, quite honestly. So, but thank goodness we each had 5 CDs and functioning batteryless. We'll have to figure out a way to make them solar-powered record players or CD players, whatever we're able to pull off at the age of 7th grade age. But
it'll be a very specific rate of cranking in order to get those however many 32 revolutions.
That cranking rate's going to have to be so specific.
Do you want to give some honorable mentions?
Yeah, I'll zip through mine. Reliant K, I mean, yeah. Who I Am, Hates Who I've Been. Good stuff. But if I'm being true to myself, wouldn't make my top 5 quite yet. I think it's more of a junior year record for me.
Same.
Weezer Green. I was into Weezer for like what felt like 25,000 years before that binder came into my life. So it felt weird to put Green on there, but Island in the Sun would have been a really great song to play during our like good moments.
Sure.
So I kind of regret not picking it actually. Take Off Your Pants and Jacket was in my memorables, but again, I had been listening to those Blink records and Weezer for like what felt like forever at the time because time seems longer when you're younger. 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge, American Idiot, which American Idiot would have been a good long one with long songs and, you know, to kind of sit there and really think about, similar to In Keeping Secrets, where you have 8-minute songs you kind of get to dig your teeth into. And 50 Cent's The Massacre, which actually might have been a fun little around the fire party record to have around. But alas, we have to live with the choices we made.
So most of my honorable mentions were things that came sophomore, junior year. And in no particular order, I have Anthem by Less Than Jake.
Love it. We should have had a fucking ska record on the island. I'm glad you thought about it.
See, and the problem was in 8th and 9th grade, I wasn't listening to albums really. It was mostly just
I still couldn't
songs.
give you one full ska album that I like have spent time with. So I'm just not that cool. I wish I was. I'm not. I love Less Than Jake, but you know, anyway.
Give Me Lights and Sound by Yellow Card. God, I don't remember the album name, but Inhale Exhale was like this metalcore, hardcore band that Cameron Mazur got me into sophomore year of high school. And that album took up a lot of time in my headphones. Catalyst by Newfound Glory. See, the thing with that is like some of my favorite songs are on that album, but the album isn't like one of my favorites. Like there's just a lot of chaff, I feel like. Give me Bone Palace Ballet by Chiodos. That was a very sophomore year album. Or maybe junior, I forget.
Would you say your work here is done if my stomach were to feel weak?
That was the one before that, I think.
Oh, yeah, whatever. I give up.
All's well that ends well. Commit This to Memory. This is when Hannah started influencing my musical decisions.
Yeah, back when Death Cab and Motion City crept into your life.
Oh God, The Aftermath by Norma Jean was definitely a sophomore year album, as was They're Only Chasing Safety by Under Oath. And
Goodbye, Norma Jean.
This was flirting with the edge of what I felt comfortable mentioning, but We Don't Need to Whisper would make this.
I'm surprised it didn't.
It would make it if this was like a sophomore junior year desert island, but it's not. So
we should do that next then.
let's do it.
Maybe. It'll be my honorable mentions list. That's all. We've already ruined it. Spoiler alert. It's all Chiodos. It's only songs. We should do an only weird breakdown band album or Desert Island episode.
The breakdowns are the best part.
Whitechapel. Only God. Whitechapel albums. I'm sure they have at least 5.
They were just in Denver the other day.
Good for them, I guess. Whatever gets you through the day.
John. Do you have a song of the week?
Yep. I'm going to make a t-shirt that says, listen to Charlie Bliss. And that's it.
Okay.
I'm going to wear it proudly. And I'm going to donate the proceeds to the band. I'm going to become a roadie for Charlie Bliss. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm still listening to their new record because it's probably the most recent band I've gotten into, like, for real, since, I can't even think of since when. We talk about all these junior high bands, and you're like, hey, has it ever happened for you in adulthood? And it has very recently, or as of the last 3 years or so, with Charlie Bliss. So, yeah, it's still them. This new album is different, though. It's a little more synthy, a little more pop. It's not quite as raw, but that doesn't mean it's worse.
Okay.
I'll say that.
Okay. I don't have anything, man. I've been so busy. Got some new clients.
You've been reading Artemis. You like that? By Andy Weir.
Okay.
The man behind The Martian.
So the thing that I loved about The Martian is that he over-explained everything.
Yeah, it was like, yeah.
But the thing I don't like about Artemis is how he over-explains everything. It's really interesting. It wasn't done as well, and it feels like it was done very cheaply.
Well,
so
when
now
it's a survival story, you need to the math kind of helps you understand the limitations of what the chances of survival. But
yes, absolutely, and it was a huge tool in the first book. But in Artemis, I feel like he tried to do it, but he does it with a lot of stuff that I don't think is important. It's just like characters saying stuff for the exposition, but it's not. Though? I mean, I was really, really into it until the action started rising, and then it felt corny and cheap to me.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, The Martian's like next level, so it's hard to double up on.
Right. So I'm trying to get through the ending, but I bought Ready Player One as well, so I'll be starting that next. Takes
place in Columbus, Ohio.
Does it now?
Well, the movie version did. I'm sure the book does as well.
Okay.
Anyway, it's late. I'm going to go chat with my dog and wife.
Chat with that dog. Okay.
I was trying to think, like, should I make a joke where I say I'm going to chat with my dog and pet my wife, but I didn't want it to come off as sexual, but more as just like a misspoken word. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go scratch my dog's belly and say goodnight to my wife because we record these rather late.
Alrighty, man. Sounds good.
And I love you, and we are real close to the reunion, and I'd like to talk more about that next time we chat because we'll be real close to seeing each other.
Cannot wait, man.
Next time we speak. So I got a busy couple stretch of days at work, and we got kind of a job search thing going on. So maybe next week we can dip a little more into the personal stuff, which I think we wanted to do this week and last week, but life happens, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to, man.
Is that all right? Unless there's something you wanted to touch on.
Nope. Let's do it.
All right. You sure?
Absolutely, man.
Okay.
Bye.
Love you, man.
Love you too.
See ya.
All right, nerds, thanks so much for hanging out this week. Tweet at the show at _reminiscentFM and let us know what your junior high desert album, island album, desert playlist would look like. This show is honestly so much more fun when we're talking to you guys. Let us know which albums or songs you'd like us to cover next. All right, talk to you next week. Love you guys. Bye.